Welcome to the Setting Up Online Discussion section of the Blackboard discussion video series. In this video, we're going to discuss how to create a prompt or set of instructions for a discussion, the options that you have for creating them with PDF documents or soft chalk, where to put those in your course, and the options for sharing that information with your students. We're going to talk a little bit about creating a graded discussion forum and some of the settings, as well as why you might want to consider using a grading rubric to inform student work and provide feedback. And then we're going to talk about setting up course links in your lesson units or modules to the discussion forums, and a couple of pitfalls and caveats with regards to setting up those course links. So the first thing we're going to talk about is creating your instructions or your prompt for your graded discussions. Now, we've already discussed what information is important to include in a syllabus and a course orientation, and now we want to talk about the specifics for the individual unit discussions. Now here, what you are looking at is a soft chalk lesson containing the prompt for the learning discussion in an online course. So what you see at the top is some general information. So again, you want to repeat some of the important information from the syllabus, and maybe some of the orientation information here. Of course, I've repeated that the initial post and response posts have two different due dates, that they should refer back to the syllabus and orientation for more information before moving forward if they're confused, and other information that I've just repeated as to the minimum requirements for the discussion. Then you will see that I repeat this information in every one of my discussion prompts. So the general information section here and the grading rubric section looks the exact same in each one of my discussion prompts. Now, what differs from discussion to discussion is this section here. This is really the background information and the questions that I want my students to address when posting to the discussion forum. So I provide them with background information. Now, this may include videos, embedded videos in the soft chalk lesson, or a link to a video that I want them to watch, primary source material, websites, other areas, pro-con, debates, things like that will be provided here. This is really the meat and potatoes of what I want them to discuss provided here. And then you'll also see that each one of my discussion prompts provides them with some suggestions for response post starters, because all too often students don't really know how to start with their responses. So this actually was provided to us by a faculty member here at the college. She had this in her class, and during the course of an online course evaluation process, we saw this and thought it was a fantastic idea and asked if we could borrow that, and she was kind enough to share it with us. So we're passing on the information. So maybe some suggestions for response starters. So what you want to think about when creating your discussion prompts or instruction information is what is important for your students to know. What background information do you need them to read, view, engage with in preparation for formulating their initial and response posts. Now, again, this is a soft chalk lesson, and you will find training materials for soft chalk in the online faculty resource organization in Blackboard. And basically, this just creates a web link, and this web link I can put in as a hyperlink into different locations in Blackboard. Another option, obviously, is to set up a PDF version of your prompt. So you can see here, if we go into my primary content area, into my Unit 1 where this information is housed, you'll see I have my learning discussion prompt provided here to the students in PDF format. So this could be a web link to the soft chalk lesson, or in this case, just a well formatted PDF document containing these instructions. So those are just a couple of different options for you. What I want to caution you against is trying to take all of this information and trying to cram it onto your forum description. And the reason why is, A, students are unable to print out this description. If I have a PDF document or a course, a hyperlink to a soft chalk lesson, students can print this out and reference it as they're going through the background materials. They can take notes on it. They can reference it frequently when they're writing their post or preparing their posts. So that's one benefit. Another benefit is it just decreases the overall length of the discussion forum. So you don't have all of this information just cluttered on the discussion board, and it really compacts that information down into a separate document. So let's talk about how to create a graded discussion forum. Now, I'm not going to go through every single setting in a discussion forum. You will find in the supplemental materials folder in this training module a document called Editing Discussion Forum Settings, and it is a 6-page detailed document with screenshots showing very detailed descriptions of every setting and what they mean and what they do. We will talk about some of the settings that we feel are important that you make note of, but I will leave the rest of those for the documentation. So you will come to the discussion board and then click Create Forum. Now, the first thing you need to do, of course, is provide your forum with a name. So in this case, I'm going to say this is my Unit 1 Learning Discussion. And then you will provide a brief description of the forum. Now here I have pre-populated some information. Grammarly's trying to tell me what to do. Some pre-populated information here. So I remind the students that this is a graded discussion forum, that they should see the learning discussion prompt document in Unit 1 for information on how to complete the discussion. Now, I also can put the information here. So I could say, you know, remove this second half of this sentence, highlight this information, and create a link either to my soft chalk lesson or a link to the document by browsing my computer and pull in the PDF document here. So whether you have it as a standalone document in your unit, or you have it attached to the forum, or maybe even both. Maybe you have it as a standalone document in your unit and you have it attached to the forum. Just be cognizant of explaining to the students where that information is. And of course, again, I don't put due dates and descriptions of items in Blackboard, so I'm always referring students back to the course schedule for the graded, for the due date for this information. And again, I'm reminding them over and over that these have different due dates. I also make note that they cannot see other students' posts before posting themselves, and that has to do with a setting, so we'll talk about that setting in a moment. So first thing you want to look at with regards to settings is, of course, you want to make the setting, the forum available, but limit the visibility of your forum using the date and time restrictions. So in my case, I will open the discussion forum at midnight on the day that the unit opens, and then close it and make it unavailable at 11:59 p.m. the day that the unit closes. Now, these obviously aren't the dates, but you get the idea. Now, as I mentioned up here, that there's a post first setting, meaning that the students have to post before they can view other students' posts. This is where that is applied. The standard view means that as soon as a student clicks on the forum, they see everyone's posts. This setting here requires that the students post before they are able to see anyone else's. Now, why would you do this? To prevent students from reading everyone else's initial post and just regurgitating the same information over and over. If you want truly unique thoughts from your students, this is one way to get it, to ensure it. And then I'll talk about some of the benefits and problems with these different views when it comes to course links in a moment. But typically I only use participants must create thread in order to view other threads in the forum. But of course, this is an instructional choice. It's entirely up to you. Now, of course, these are graded discussion forums because SACS requires that students interact with one another. This is the student-to-student interaction component in my class, so I make it mandatory by requiring a grade for it. Now, of course, as soon as you do that, you will get the option to provide a due date for that. Now, again, as I mentioned previously, you can only set one due date on a discussion forum. So, again, repeating this information over and over and having that course schedule that clearly differentiates the difference between the initial post and response post due dates is important if you have it set that way. If everything is due at the end of, at the same time, all initial and response posts are due at the same time for you, that's fine. You don't have to repeat that information. But if that is the case, you want to repeat that information. Now, generally, I do leave this setting to 1, and there are a lot of reasons why, mostly because if I set it to 2 and students only post once, it never shows up in my needs grading, and then I have to know to go to the full grade center to find the in progress posts and then give the students partial credits. So I always leave this to 1 because I want to see those in my needs grading section. Now, I'm not going to discuss most of these. Again, I will leave that to the documentation, but I will say this. Maybe you want to uncheck allow file attachments. And the reason why is, as an instructor and as a student, if I want to look at somebody's post and they attached their post as a Word document, that means I have to go to their post, open the post, then I have to click on the document, download it, open it in Microsoft Word, read it, close it, go back to Blackboard, and grade it. So it just adds in extra steps. Now, you might need them to. There might be cases where you're having students fill out a form or a grader. You know, maybe you're doing peer reviews on an oral presentation and you have a scoring sheet that students use and they need to post an attachment. So just consider that when setting up your discussion forum. So once I'm finished with that, I'm going to click submit and you will see the forum that is listed on the discussion board. All right, so let's talk about course links. Now, creating a course link to that forum from within my unit is very, very useful indeed. And the reason why is you know, the students are working through the materials for the unit in this area, and I don't want them to have to think about needing to go to the discussion board. I want it here so they see it, it's in front of them, they know it's where the overview is, they know exactly what to do. So I'm going to click build content, choose course link, click browse, and then from the pop-up window I'm going to locate my Unit 1 learning discussion and then submit. Don't put date limiters on course links. I've mentioned that before, but I'm just going to reiterate it here. Put the date limiters on the forum itself, and then of course I'm going to drag that up here. So they read through the lesson unit, lesson notes, they read the prompt, then they're taken to the discussion forum to participate in the discussion. Now, so I'm going to show you the student view of this. So when the student comes into the content area, into the unit, and they get ready to go to the discussion board, this is what they will see. They will see this warning telling them that they must post first, and then they will see the description, and again, if I have my link to my prompt document or soft chalk, it will be displayed here. So that concludes this video for setting up online discussions in Blackboard.